Hello, everybody. Once again, we welcome you to the In the Black podcast. In the Black is not just for black people, but we are concerned about the wealth gap between blacks and others. And so in that sense, dfree is the movement, and we are focused as a priority on our community, on African Americans, but everybody's welcome. But In the Black is a financial term that simply says you own more than you owe, you save more than you spend, your assets are greater than your liabilities. And in times like these, it's tremendously challenging to be in the black. The government is bailing out big companies to try to keep them in the black. Small businesses are holding on for dear life. And churches, certainly churches, are struggling because they were not prepared for this downturn in the ability to gather. Who would ever think that pastors would have as a part of their message telling their members to stay home? But that's what's happened. And today we're going to talk with someone who can help us close the gap between where we were before we had to urge people to stay home and where we can be in the future. My co-host, of course, is the executive director of the dfree Global Foundation, attorney Tamika Stembridge. Tamika, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you guys? Welcome back to In the Black. We're going to have a good time today.
Tamika, a few months ago, I received a phone call from our guest, and I've known him for some years, but he was calling me to chastise me. And his chastisement was based on the fact that we were not using technology at our church in a way that maximized our impact and our outreach, not only to our members, but to the world. And he told me 2 or 3 things that I just needed to do. I listened to him because he knows more about technology than anybody else I know. My engagement on Sunday is up at least 40%, and I can proudly say that now during this time when we have to have church with no audience, I have actually increased our engagement and our reach over what we had when people were coming to church. I may never go back to live church again. So the person with us today is Navarrow Wright. Navarrow, how are you doing today?
Reverend Soaries, I'm fantastic. I appreciate you guys as always having me on. The things I've been telling you for years, so I'm glad to hear you finally took heed to me.
Before we get into the subject at hand, where we want you to explain to our listeners, especially our church leaders, how to effectively use technology today, I want you to just, again, give us a review of who you are, how you got started, what you've accomplished, and what you're doing now.
Absolutely. So, I've been involved in the technology space for about 30 years now. I was the former CTO of Black Entertainment Television, the former CTO of Radio One and TV One. Started a company called Global Grind with Russell Simmons. So I have deep understanding of how to connect multitudes of people to online properties. For the past 5 or 6 years, I've been consulting celebrities, small businesses, and more recently churches on how to leverage what I call the digital opportunity, which is basically take whatever you're offering and expand it to a wider audience, right? Some of my celebrity clients have been Soledad O'Brien, Iyanla Vanzant, Anthony Anderson on the gospel side, Fred Hammond, Israel Houghton, Charles Dinkins, Erica Campbell, to name a few. And for the last year, primarily, it's been focused on churches, right? Because I actually think that the biggest growth opportunity in the world right now is for churches online, and it's almost timely given what's going on right now.
Navarro, I want you to talk about the 2 or 3 key things that every church needs to know and do. Let me introduce it by saying last Sunday, which was really our first Sunday of total streaming worship on Sunday without me being absent. Sunday before we did it, but I was in Atlanta. This was our first time doing it. We took in 13 new members online, just FYI.
Yeah, so I think, look, a couple things. One is what people don't understand is that right now everybody's an online member, right? So that creates a unique opportunity for all ministries. I spoke to some pastors the other day, and I told them that there's no such thing as a megachurch anymore, right? Because they don't have a building and you don't have a building. So there's an opportunity for you to reach more people. So 3 things that pastors should do. First, we've talked about it before, right? You got to stream your services online, but you don't necessarily have to stream your services online live, right? A lot of churches last Sunday, for as many that were successful, there were a lot that had, systemic failures because they rushed the stream. They had the stream before, and they were more focused on the stream than they were in the message. So one thing you can do is make sure you stream live, but there's a multitude of ways for you to take recorded services and stream them for a live experience. That's one. The second thing is understanding that streaming is just not enough, right? Every church and every ministry has subsequent sub-ministries that were connecting to people. You need to bring those ministries online, whether it's a marriage ministry, whether it's your teen ministry, whether it's your kids ministry. You need to bring them online. There's tools like Zoom that let you have Bible study with people interacting online that you can do almost immediately. The third thing is you need to promote your ministry like nobody's business, right? Every church that doesn't have their building open now, there are expenses that you were incurring that you're no longer incurring, right? Everybody printed out pamphlets to put on the seats and pews. That expense is now gone. So what you need to do is take that expense and focus it on targeted marketing to have a slogan now that your message needs to get in front of new people every week, because you have the opportunity to build a relationship with people on a one-to-one basis over time at scale. And it's been unprecedented. And the last thing I'll say is, for the first time in human history, people are at home with almost zero to no distractions. So there's an opportunity for you to build a relationship with them and build a relationship with God that hasn't existed in the modern era with the internet.
A color, a number. I'm more than my credit score. But a low score means a closed door. Higher interest rates for cars and mortgages. But change is easier than we think. With Credit Builder Plus, a simple loan can build your credit. So we can all get to where we want to be. Green. Let's get to green together.
Wow, you use the term targeted marketing. I think you need to add a little color to that, because I've heard you talk about the ability to boost your brand into specific areas with great specificity and clarity.
Facebook and Instagram and even YouTube have the ability for you to run paid ads to put your content in front of specific people. I focus more on Facebook and Instagram primarily because YouTube is a reactive experience. People go there because they know they want to watch videos, but they don't go there all the time. Facebook and Instagram, people are living on there, especially in these times. So you have the ability to interrupt their activity with your message. So the paid advertising allows you to target people based on their demographics, their age, their sex, their location, their interest, and put your content in front of them. It also allows you to target people more intensely based on their engagement. So if I watched First Baptist sermon on Sunday, I can create an audience to say, everyone who watched that sermon, here, I want to see a video from the pastor telling them about what the ministry is about, what other events we're going to have, and how they can connect. Then I can also say, hey, let's do it based on percentages. There may be some people who watch 10%, but there may be another number that watched over 75. So me as a church is trying to grow, I want to double down on the people who watch 75% of that sermon, because they told me by their action that they have a deep interest. So I need to capitalize on that. So when I talk about targeted marketing, the equivalent of being able to take every person that comes in contact with you by the hand and walk them down the path that you exactly want them to see the value of your ministry.
That's probably one of the most personalized relationships that any member could want at that point, especially, when you think about church and wanting to be connected to the leadership, connected kind of directly to the church experience, not just as kind of an observer, but an active participant in the worship experience. What's really exciting, a lot of what you're sharing right now is definitely, it's valid to the church, but it's also valid from an entrepreneur's perspective. Can you speak a little bit to, the opportunities that are happening right now when people see, what we're experiencing as kind of doom and gloom? They're at home, they're not at work, they don't know what it is, that they're going to do with their time. You said that they're at home with no distractions, but is there a way for them to potentially disrupt their life in a positive way, just based on what we're experiencing, and using technology to do that?
Yep, absolutely. I think, there are a lot of people today, some unfortunately their jobs have been terminated. There's other people who've been temporarily laid off. There's other people who are working remotely, and they're seeing a shift that there's a lot of brick and mortar businesses that can't operate right now. But the opportunity is almost all of them, I won't say all of them, but almost all of them can create a virtual version of that brick and mortar business and now reach more people at scale, right? So, the great example I've been using is, let's say you're a fitness coach, a yoga teacher, et cetera, right? And you are hosting classes. There's nothing stopping you from creating a private Facebook group and throwing up a page on Shopify and offering people to buy into those virtual classes, because you have an audience of people who are just hungry for things to do, right? So if you're at home, you should be thinking about, okay, what is the service I can offer from my house? If you're a great cook, you can put your cell phone on a tripod and offer cooking classes, right? Everybody's sitting at home with shelter in place, figuring out new ways to feed their family, right? That's a niche there. There's 1,000 of different opportunities that people can create. And then the other thing I'll say is, if you look through history, more millionaires are created during times of distress than at any other point in history. So even as you're sitting at home, you may come up with a new idea, right? There's a new type of delivery service. So whatever you think of, that opportunity is bigger today than it's ever been, because new needs are going to come out of this, right? No matter when this ends, there's going to be a new normal, and you should be sitting at home thinking about how you can create an opportunity in that new normal, as opposed to just sitting around and watching Netflix.
I understand why you do this for entertainers and for businesses, because you've got a business and you've got a family and you've got bills to pay. Why do you do this for churches? Churches don't pay the way celebrities pay. In fact, some churches don't pay at all. Why do you do this? And then how can people get in touch with you if they need you to work with them hand in hand, one-on-one, to do the kinds of things you're teaching?
Like many people who work with churches or endeavor with churches, most of us do it because God spoke to you. And for me, there was a point in my life when God said to me, you know what? I've given you all this talent and ability, and you've helped all of these people, all these big names, and all these big companies do these things. I need you to direct that towards the church. And quite frankly, as I deepen my relationship with the church, I realized that those tools applied. And more importantly, when I started looking at the numbers, I'm a numbers guy, I realized how many churches each year were closing their doors solely for the reason that they couldn't connect with a wide enough audience to sustain their ministry, right? So that's somebody who received a calling from God, who may have a message that could change someone's life, and that message gets extinguished. So that's really the motivation for me. And in this current time, I don't want any church to shut their doors because they just don't have the knowledge of how to connect with people and deliver their message, because there's actually someone on the other side who needs that message, right? To me, it's a continual relationship that needs to happen. And I think, I know God has kind of made it my mission to try and do that for as many ways as possible. And to your point, right? It's a business for me. It's definitely a business, but it's also a mission, right? My phrase to a lot of people is I don't eat off of this, I feed off of it, right? Because if I plant the seed and you grow, you're going to become a bigger partner in relationship with me, but I got to plant the seeds for you first. And in terms of how people can reach me, I actually created a dedicated URL specifically for dfree, which is the connected.church/dfree. And on that page, I'm going to put links. Each week on Monday, I'm doing a live workshop for churches and ministers that you can watch on my Facebook page. I'm going to put that there. I'm going to put links to all the programs. And even for individuals who are looking to start their business, I'm launching webinars for you as well. So all of that will be on that page when you go there. That's
great.
Connected.church/dfree.
This is the time when we can really learn things and teach things and be literally closer connected even while we're social distancing. So I'm excited. Tamika, I'm excited about Navarro. I thank God that you have persisted sacrificially in many instances in doing this work. And I'm hoping we can build out a stronger relationship as we seek to help empower people and groups towards the goal of financial freedom. I think you have tools and resources that are critical to our mission.
Thank you so much. And everybody check out Connected Church. I'm on it right now. It looks incredible and a lot of great information available to you. So thank you, Navarro, for sharing with us.
So once again, you've been listening to Navarrow Wright on the dfree podcast, In the Black. And if you do what he says, you too and your church and your business can be in the black. This is DeForest Soaries with Tamika Stembridge signing off. We'll see you next time.
When I grow up,
I want to be a billionaire.
Billionaire.
What if we were all billionaires?
that looks like legacy,
Investment.
property.
That looks like me.
That looks like me.
That looks like me.
But there's a first step to this.
You've got to get debt free.
You gotta join the $1 Billion Challenge. The $1 Billion Challenge.
Yes, today.
We'll be waiting. We're building billionaires.